Hey everyone, I am Nixie and welcome to today's video. So on the channel I currently have like manga hauls, new releases, little bits of reviews and stuff, but I really wanted to expand on my manga series. So today we are starting a new mini series of manga recommendations, and I get asked quite a lot for manga recommendations, particularly BL, because that's predominantly what my collection is made up of. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to do manga BL recommendations for like short series and one shots. So I've kind of been like sitting on this video for a little while now, for like trying to think of like the best recommendations. So it's taken me a little while to like pull everything from my shelves, but try and keep it like still condensed. So these are some of my recommendations if you want a quick BL read. So these are one shots or like 2-volume series. And they're all still in print as well, so they're easily accessible. I don't like to do recommendations of like out of print BL because I know that like there's a lot of scalpers out there and people who charge a ridiculous amount for like out of print BL, so I wouldn't want to recommend those to people that, you know, it's a bit more difficult to get a hold of. So these are all easily accessible. So we're gonna do like publisher by publisher, just like what I do in my like haul videos and stuff. So we'll start with 7 Seas, I think. We don't have that many from 7 Seas. So the first one that we're going to do is Our Dining Table. So this is just one shot, so done and dusted in this one, and this is super cute. So this is about a guy, I can never remember names, Yutaka. So he meets this little cutie one day while he's out having his lunch, and basically he meets his older brother as well, whose name I cannot, Minoru and Han. So yeah, these are 2 brothers. So they sort of like get bonding over like meals and stuff like that. It's super cute, super wholesome. I highly recommend it. It's non-explicit as well, so it's suitable for all ages. It is teen rated, but yeah, so it's non-explicit, and it's just like gives you that nice warm fuzzy like wholesome feeling inside. So I highly recommend this. This is great as well, like if you are sort of like new to the BL genre. I highly recommend this one. This is a great starting point. Then we have a real life story. This is Until I Meet My Husband. So this is the manga version. There is a like memoirs version as well, like if you wanted to read like the essays and stuff, I think it's described as. So this is about Ryusuke, who is really struggling with his sexuality in like, is it 90s? In the 90s, I think, in Japan, where, you know, it's sort of, it's illegal to get married, gay people are sort of like repressed and like forced to like hide their sexuality and stuff like that. But yeah, like I say, it's based on a true story. There's some really heartbreaking moments in this, like really sad moments, but there's also some very sweet moments in this as well. So this is about Ryusuke on his journey through trying to find other gay people in Japan, and meeting his husband as well. But yeah, this is a really good autobiographical story, and I really like the artwork as well, like the artist in this as well. But yeah, I really recommend this. But good insight into sort of like the gay culture back in, I'm sure it's the 90s, he said. But yeah, I highly recommend this. It's a very emotional story. Then we have a more recent one. This is I Didn't Mean to Fall in Love. So this is just a one shot. This is mature. This is very explicit. It starts off very explicit as well. So this is about Yoshino. So that's this guy that we see on the cover. He is just about to turn 30. and he's never actually like been with anyone, and basically he really wants to have sex. So he kind of like builds up the courage, goes into a gay bar, and he meets Room, which is this silver-haired fellow here, and he basically says, please take my virginity. So that's basically what he does. But yeah, these two, like, there's a bit of like miscommunication, a little bit of like past trauma, sort of like not dealing with things very well, that's in this. But these two are so cute together. Like, I love their interactions and stuff. Like, I've spoken about this one before, but this is a great one shot, and I would like to see more of this author's work. Like, we do have one from Sublime, Golden Sparkles, same author, which is also a one shot. But yeah, I highly recommend this one if you want something that's like has really sweet moments between the two, that is explicit as well. Highly recommend this one. So that's actually all we've got from Seven Seas as regards to the BLs that I would put in this list. It's been very hard to narrow things down. So we have one from Yen Press. So this is I've Become an Omega Today. So again, this is just a one shot. And the reason that I put this in the recommendations is because I think it's a really good starting point for Omegaverse stories, which is what this is for people who are sort of inexperienced with Omega stories. So this is childhood friends to lovers in an Omegaverse like universe. And yeah, I really recommend this. Like I say, if you are not familiar with the Omegaverse stories, it's kind of like a bit more of a gentle introduction into that world, because some of the Omegaverse stories can be a bit intense and they're usually very traumatic with non-consensual situations happen. But like I say, this is friends to lovers, and I think it is quite a good introduction into that like universe. Okay, next we shall move on to June manga actually. So the first one is Ormiko. So this is from Sakura. So if you are familiar with Sakura's work, you will know that there isn't a lot of plot, and it's just very pretty men doing very dirty things. That's basically what this is. So if you want something that is very smutty, you can check out any of Sakura's works. But the reason that I put this one in the list as opposed to her other works is because I feel like that this one is more fleshed out than her previous works that we've gotten so far. I feel like there's a lot of like story in this. Like there is an overall like plot line, there's a bit of like character development and stuff like that, while still keeping that core element of Sakura's work, which is basically pretty man doing fun things. So I recommend like this one. Like I say, it's kind of not for the faint of heart, because it is, you know, they are pretty out there works, but if you want something smutty, then definitely go ahead and check this one out. Next we have Black Eagle in the Sahara, which is a fairly new one from June. So this is about like the slave trade, and about a trainer who basically is told to take the like the master of the slaves and to like train him, make him obedient, which is basically by like dominating him in the bedroom. So it is again a mature read, but I do like these two characters' interactions, like in the whole story is actually really good. But like I say, this is another like spicy one shot. I believe that there is a sequel to this, which is like from the trainers, like his background a little bit more, so you get to see like where he sort of like come from, but I'm not sure whether we'll actually get that in English licenses. But yeah, I highly recommend this. This was a really good read, and yeah, one of the more enjoyable one-shots we've had from June recently, I feel like. So yeah, definitely check that one out. Next we have one that I'm going to absolutely butcher the name of, Tuzumake ni Kuruzo. This one So this is just a one shot from June. So this is an age gap, so keep that in mind. I know some people don't like age gaps. Personally it doesn't bother me, but yeah, this is about a botanist who takes on a assistant, and feelings develop from there. This kind of reminds me as like a similar vein to Early the Flower Knows, with the whole like botanist assistant falling in love, that kind of thing. But I enjoyed this so much more than what I thought I was going to. And again, it was like really sweet. And it kind of had that like really emotional like feeling to the story as well. So yeah, definitely recommend that one. But I recommend all of these, obviously. Next we are gonna move on to Kuma. So Kuma basically don't do longer series because they are really small publishing house at the minute, which are part of Kuma, which are part of Dempa even. So they predominantly do one shots and a couple of other like shorter series. So the first one we have is kind of like an underrated one that I don't hear people talking about like at all really, but that is Boys of the Dead. So this is a horror one, but it's a bunch of like shorter stories that kind of like entwine with each other. It's very dark, and it gives like that somber sort of like bittersweet feeling. Like I say, I don't hear many people talking about this at all, but again, this was one of these that kind of took me by surprise because I enjoyed it so much more than what I thought I would. And the artwork as well is really interesting. Again, really dark. But yeah, I really recommend this. We're coming up to spooky season as well, so if you wanted something spooky, definitely check this out because it is a very interesting read, and it is, like I say, one of those like bittersweet BL stories. Then we have a really fun one from Kuma. This is Can an Otaku Like Me Really Be an Idol? So this is explicit. This does have like very blurred consensual line in it, so just be aware of that. But this is about a guy who basically dresses up as an idol, does like videos online, and is really popular, and another guy discovers him, who is actually a really big fan, but he says basically, I am not going to sleep with anyone unless it's an idol. An idol has to take my virginity. So this guy is like, right, I'm going to become an idol then, and then it doesn't matter then, does it? Really fun read. Like I say, blood consent in this, so just be aware of that. And obviously cross-dressing is in there, so but it's a really fun read. It is spicy. There is like another fun like little short story in the back of here, which, like I say, is fun. But yeah, definitely a fun read. Then we have Sick. So this is the typical trope of popular guy, introvert guy. They sort of like the popular guy starts teasing this introvert and actually ends up like falling for him. It is spicy as well. It is a fun read. There is some sort of like blurred consent as well in this, but for the like popular guy introvert like trope, I know that that is like quite a popular trope in BL. Like there's a lot of stories, but this one is really like well done, and it's not that sort of like, I feel like it's not that sort of like well known. It's kind of like underrated, but for one shot, you know, it gets the character development in there, the backstory in there, there's a lot of plot in there as well, and I think it's like really well done. So definitely check this out if you like that sort of like popular guy, introvert guy trope. This is a really good one. Then we have one of my favorite like stories, like full stop. and that is The Song of Yoru and Asa. So this is the first one, and then we do have Encore as well, which is the follow-up. So this is a 2-volume set. This is by Harada. If you're not familiar with Harada's work, she does not care. She will write whatever the hell she wants. Yeah, no F's given, basically. So these are very toxic stories. There is a lot of trigger warnings that are with Harada's work. So it's not kind of like for the faint heart. This is very spicy as well, non-consent. There's trauma in here, quite a lot of trauma. So just like be aware of that. So if you want something that's a little bit more hardcore, definitely check this out. Harada does some of my like absolute favorite like character designs and like artwork. It's very, very pretty artwork. It is uncensored as well, which like actually I appreciate publishers when they don't censor like an artist's work, whether that's like in the sexual way or gore way, like just in general, that they don't censor their work. Like we get it presented how the artist intended it to be shown. So I appreciate it when publishers do that. So yeah, like I say, very spicy. Volume 2 did have, like the Encore did have more sweet moments between Yoru and Asa, but it is sweet moments in their own way. They are a very toxic couple, but they work well together, if that makes sense. But yeah, one of my favorite like couple of one-shots here. So moving on to, we'll do Tokyo Pop. Now Tokyo Pop was really hard for me to narrow it down as to regards to what to put in this list, because they do some incredible one-shots and like 2-volume series. Like they don't tend to do like very long series, and honestly like you couldn't go wrong with like any of their BL. To be honest, like there's nothing that I've read so far that I haven't enjoyed, but I've narrowed it down as much as I possibly can with those. So the first one that we're going to start with is actually like a webtoon. So this is Hyperventilation. So this is actually an anime which is about 23 minutes long, I think, that you can watch. So this is from that. And it's the same artist as Mignon, which has recently came out. If you're familiar with that and you've seen that go around on TikTok, same people. But yeah, this is probably the shortest story that we have on this list. But this is a beautiful story. It's in full colour. So it's in full colour, and there isn't a lot of dialogue in this, like if you're familiar with the anime, because the anime came out like quite a while ago now. I think it was like 2017. Yeah, so there's not a lot of dialogue in this, but it's very much one of those like the story is told through the pictures. Like I know it's webtoon manga, like obviously through the pictures, but like even more so it's kind of like up to your own interpretation, like some of the things, like how the characters are feeling and stuff. Like it's told very well with very little dialogue. So this is about 2 guys who went to the same school together, were in the same class, and something happened between them. They graduated, and 8 years or 9 years later they go to a school reunion and sort of like bump into each other again. It's a very beautiful story, very emotional story. Yeah, so I highly recommend this. Like I say, it's only a quick read, very quick read, but it's very, very beautiful. Then we have Sherry My Destiny, which is just a one-shot. This is kind of like a quick story as well. So if you've been on my channel like any amount of time, you'll know that I kind of like had this thing about like like manga with food. I love a good food manga. So this is what this is. This is about two guys. One is a traditional like Japanese confectioner that works in a store, and about another Japanese guy who has gone off, learned about Western style desserts. So he's brought that back, opened up a cafe place, and they kind of like get a bit into competition with each other, but obviously more sort of like blooms from that. But yeah, it's a very fun read, very yeah, it's a great read. Like I say, it's a very fun read as well. There is like some spiciness, so it is a 18 plus, and I do love about Tokyo Pop that they do have their stuff on the back, so you get your trigger warnings, you get obviously like your age rating and stuff, and then obviously like that this is a love, so boys love. So I really appreciate that from Tokyo Pop. But yeah, this is a great one based around food. Next we have Snow Fairy. This is so adorable, and this is like also on my like comfort list of like rereads, because it just it's so adorable, so wholesome. So this is about a photographer who sort of like breaks down in the middle of nowhere, and he is helped out by what's his name, Haruki. So while the winter is there, he basically invites him to come stay at his house until winter passes over, and he's the photographer can get the photos that he needs for his work. But obviously things start to happen, feelings start to blossom, and it's super cute. Like I say, this is my reread for like comfort. It is like non-explicit. There are still like mature themes in this, but yeah, it's not explicit, so I feel like when it's a non-explicit story, it makes it like even more wholesome and like fuzzy. But yeah, this is super cute. Next we have total opposite, Platinum Blood. So this is something if you want kind of a little bit more hardcore, I guess. So this is about a priest who adopts a boy. And he's actually a vampire, so he grows up, he's a vampire, but he refuses to drink anyone's blood. Instead he wants to take life force via other means. Okay, so it is spicy, it does involve like the whole religious theme, and it does involve that sort of like, it says on the back of here incest, but they're not blood related, but the priest is a father figure to the vampire. So I think that's an important thing to note to people, because I don't think everyone will enjoy that. But yeah, so it is spicy, but it is a really good read. It's a really fun read. It's kind of like a little bit dramatic in there as well. But yeah, so if you're looking for vampire stories but you want a quick read, then go ahead and pick that one up. Next we have one that kind of like took me by surprise when I first read it, and there are things I can't tell you. So this is one shot. It is kind of like beefy. This one kind of took me by surprise because I enjoyed it way more than what I thought I was going to. So this is friends to lovers, like they've known each other like a very long time, and it's that classic like one has feelings for the other, but it's the unrequited love of friends to lovers kind of trope. But there's some very emotional like stuff that kind of like took me aback a little bit, because I wasn't expecting it to sort of like happen, and this story like really stuck with me for like quite a while after I read it. You know, sometimes when you read stuff or watch stuff and you kind of like it's on your mind for a little while afterwards. That's what I got with this one shot. But yeah, so another friends to lovers, but very well done, very emotional sort of story as well. Then we have a super cute one. This is The God and the Flightless Messenger. So again, this one's quite beefy as well. this is super cute. Like, I highly recommend it. And again, this is a good starting point if you are sort of like new to the BL genre and you wanting something that's not like really hardcore. That I recommend. This is a fantasy genre. Like I say, it's super cute. It's non-explicit, although there is sort of like a brief mention sort of like towards the end of like those sort of themes, but yeah, it's non-explicit, super cute. So yeah, it's about a guy who has very tiny wings and he's sent off to a distant like island to look after a god, and sort of like feelings blossom from there. Like I say, super cute, super wholesome. Definitely pick it up. Then we have a more recent one from Tokyo Pop. This is the flower that that seems to truly dance. I always mess up the title on this one for some reason. This is based in the war. So this is about a guy who does like traditional Japanese dances in women's clothes. Again, this is kind of like a childhood friends to lovers trope. But yeah, so there's a guy who does like the traditional dances in the women's clothes, and he's always on his like friend's mind sort of thing, and he goes off to war. So it does have like heavy war based themes in this, which I was kind of like, I was really looking forward to this one, but I was unsure like how I would feel like reading this, and I enjoyed it so much more than what I thought I would, with the like whole war themes and stuff, because that's something that I tend not to sort of like gravitate towards. But yeah, this was such a like a good read, again an emotional read as well. Yeah, and I highly recommend this if you do want something different like in your collection. Like I say, like the whole like themes around it is not sort of like a very it's not a very common theme within like BL. So it's kind of a twist on like the friends to lovers kind of trope in my opinion anyway. Then we have another super cute one shot. This is Yagi the Bookshop Go. I freaking love this. This is so cute. So this is where a world is split up into like herbivores and carnivores. So like the herbivores all live together, work together, and then all the carnivores again live together, work together. And this is about Yagi, who all he wants to do is work in a bookshop. Like, he loves stories. But he gets kicked out basically of the herbivore side because he keeps eating the books. So he goes off to try and find work in the carnivore like section of the world. It is explicit, which kind of took me a bit by surprise, because it's kind of like a cute wholesome like story, and then bam, like smut, and I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that really. But yeah, super cute, really fun read, and there is a bit of a twist in it as well. We are almost there, guys. Last stack. So this is from Sublime. Now, I love Sublime's, like, which is what's all behind me. I love Sublime's titles so much as well. Like, again, like for me, they're kind of like Tokyo Pop. Like, they don't miss on their licenses. And they've got like a real mix of titles as well. So you can't really go wrong. So the first one is kind of a bit of a warning before we go into it. It's completely ridiculous, but it's so much fun, and the artwork is great. So just hear it out first. So you may have seen it going across like TikTok and stuff like that, but that is Dick Fight Island. It's been out for a little while. It is a 2-volume series, and it is absolutely ridiculous. So this is about islands out in wherever it is, fantasy. Basically every few years, I think it's every 4 years, they send a champion from each island to compete in a competition to see who's going to be the next king, basically. And the way that they decide who is going to be the next king is to put people against each other to see who can get to the finish line last. and it's exactly how I mean. So basically, yeah, they go up against each other one-on-one to see who they can make. So whoever finishes first out of the two like losers, and the winner goes on to the next round and stuff, to see who can become king. So this is about, what's his name, so this is about Hartu. It's kind of like his story. He's one of the champions that sort of like trains up to become one of the chosen warriors to go on and compete in this competition. So it is like a bunch of people about their story and about their tournament and how it goes. Like I say, it's completely ridiculous, but it has some of the most beautiful guys ever. These are like the competitors. It is really funny. It's funny, but there's like also plot to it. There's also character development to it. And it's a lot deeper than the competition, but it's a really fun read. So the first one is about the actual competition, who ends up being king, all of that sort of stuff. And then the second volume sort of is about like the training, what they go through. We get to see a bit more about the interconnecting other couples like after the competition, that sort of thing. So like this, we get more character backgrounds, more story plot line. The first volume is just ridiculousness. That's really fun to read. As you can probably guess, it is explicit, very explicit, so just keep that in mind, but it's definitely one of the more fun reads on this list. Next we have a one-shot, which is Jackass. So this is the same creator as Jealousy. So this is about two high school students. One of them accidentally puts on his sister's tights because she borrowed his like joggers, left her tights inside as well. So when he went to gym class, he went to put them on, accidentally fumbled and put like her tights on as well. His best friend sees it, who happens to have a kink for lingerie, specifically like tights and stockings. So this again is a friends to lovers thing. There's quite a lot of humor in this, but it is quite emotional as well. Like there's obviously like some drama that happens in it to get them from that friends to lovers. But it's a really fun read. There's another like side couple in it as well, which are really fun. But yeah, I wanted to add this in because it's quite a sort of like, as regards to in the BL genre that like we have printed physicals of, having that like kink in there sort of like added something different to this list. And like I say, it's a really fun read, which is why I wanted to add this to the list. So next up we have something that I feel like is again an underrated series. Like I don't see that many people talking about it, and that is Love in Limbo. So this is 2 volumes, and this is a supernatural, like not supernatural, like fantasy series. So this is about, what's his name, Kalen. So this is about Kalen, who wakes up and finds himself in limbo. So limbo is a place where like people go to like wait for reincarnation, but they have like the Reaper there and sort of like his like helpers that protect the people in limbo against like these monsters. So when Kalen wakes up, he's actually gonna be the new Reaper, and the, what's his name, Makoto is a caretaker in limbo. He has a very unique sort of story and is a very unique person in limbo. Like his circumstances are not like anyone else there. So this is about them sort of like living in limbo, fighting these monsters. They're developing relationship. Makoto's like past and like his circumstances as well. Like I don't want to spoil about like him and like those circumstances. But yeah, I don't feel like many people talk about this series, and it's a very like good series. It's quite emotional as well, like what happens in it. It's got fully fleshed out characters, and all of that, like a very interesting plot line. So yeah, this is like quite high up on my recommendation list, because more people definitely need to check it out and read it. Then we have an emotional one-shot. We have Midnight Rain. So trigger warning for this, it does focus themes around like suicide, and it's very nitty-gritty sort of like one-shot, very emotional one-shot as well. So this is about a guy who feels like he's lost everything in life, and he basically like wants to end it until he comes across this other guy who he sort of like stumbles across on the street. Like I say, it is kind of like that raw emotion, kind of triggering story, but it's a really good like one shot. Like I would actually like to see more from these characters, but yeah, if you want something that's sort of like a bit heavy on the heart, then definitely check out this one. And then next I was like and ahhing whether this should go in this recommendation video or not, but I've pulled it out of the way, and that is Scattering His Virgin's Bloom. That's contemplating whether to pull it here or not, because I believe the author is working on like a sort of like sequel to the story. We don't have anything like announced it, whether we'll get an English license or anything like that, because the author, I think, like has barely come out with like the first volume. But this we have in English is 2 volumes. So this is in the Megaverse story. I wouldn't recommend it if you know absolutely nothing about Megaverse stories, because some of the stuff might take you sort of like, might shock you a little bit. But from like the Megaverse stories that we are getting in physical editions and stuff, this is like one of my favorite ones, and one of the better ones in my opinion for the Megaverse stories. So this is about Hannah, which is this guy on the second cover, and he's often mistaken for an alpha when he's actually an omega. And then he comes across, what's his name, Renjaku, who is he has his own like flower shop and does like big displays and stuff like that. And basically in Hannah's eyes, he is the only alpha for him. He has such a crush on him, but Renjaku is, I am never gonna take an omega mate, like it's just not gonna happen. So this is about their story. I will point out that there is like an incest, unhealthy brother like complex, not from these 2 characters, from Hannah's brother, which I was not expecting. So I just want to point that out to like other people, like just so you're not going in blind, because I know that that would be sort of like a no-no for a lot of people. But yeah, I really like this for an Megaverse story, and I highly recommend it if you are interested in that genre of BL. Then definitely check this one out. Like I say, there's a possibility of like a follow-up story, but as for now it's just these 2 volumes. Next we have an absolute favorite. This is Secret XXX. So this is so cute. So this is about Shohei, this guy who is sort of like is brought up in a household where they have like extreme dangerous like pets and stuff. So he is obsessed with bunny rabbits. He loves the cute fluffy like little animals, because he's not really like being able to like be around that type of animal. So he's obsessed with bunnies in particular. He gets a job at a pet store that's a bunny pet store. However, he does have a allergy to bunnies. So he works at the pet store and he falls in love with Mita, which is this handsome fellow here. So it's about their relationship. There is a tiny bit of drama in it, but otherwise it is quite like cute, wholesome, warm, fuzzy feeling, adorable. It is really spicy, uncensored, but this creator's like, if you haven't seen this creator's work, it's some of my favorite like artwork, because it's just so beautiful the way that like they draw their characters. There is a spin-off series about the brothers, like just the way that like they draw their characters beautiful. So there is a spin-off series which is Therapy Game Restart, but this is just a one-shot about these two. I kind of hope that like we get more of these characters, like their actual story, not just like cameos in Therapy Game. I would love to see more of these characters. But yeah, this is a great story. It's very popular creator, but if you haven't checked it out, definitely go and check this one out. And then I have saved up my absolute favourite one-shot ever for last. If you don't know already, my absolute favourite one-shot is Liqueur and Cigarettes. So, Ranma Rosario, who creates this, is my favourite like manga creator, like hands down, like for BL manga. So, they also create Coyote, Birds of Shangri-La as well, and you can get a digital version of Void from Sublime as well. I just love the way that they create stories. Like they have a lot of plot, they have like very big like overall storylines, they have fully fleshed out characters, and that artwork is like some of my absolute favorite. I love the way that they draw the characters. Camilo is freaking adorable. Like I would jump at the chance to be like with Camilo. He's like so beautiful, which is this character here. So yeah, this is about Camilo and Theo. They are childhood friends, and their families have like retired, so they both each run their family stores. So Camilo runs the cigarette tobacco store, and Theo runs the liqueur store. So this is it doesn't explicitly say where it's based, but it's like one of those quaint, cute, like Spanish little towns. It's like based somewhere like that. It's very like, you can feel like how warm and friendly like the town is. Like everyone knows each other, that sort of thing. And you can tell like, you know, people grow up in the school and like they stay friends for like, you know, forever sort of thing, unless like someone moves away. But yeah, so this is childhood friends to lovers. Camilo is sort of always loved Theo. Theo is straight, he thinks. So yeah, it's about those two. Like I say, I reread this often, like because it's just so cute. I think like the way they interact and stuff like that. There is a tiny bit of like blurred consent on Drunken Nights, but yeah, absolutely cannot say enough good things about this. And like I say, I reread this often, and I would always say that this is my favorite one shot ever. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, go and check it out, please. Let me know what you think as well. That's all the recommendations that I have for like the short like 2 volumes, 1 volume series, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well, and enjoyed these recommendations. If you do want me to carry on, like I have plenty of like video ideas as well that I would like to do. If you do want to see more recommendation videos, I'll leave some things that you would like to see in the comments down below, and I'll definitely add it to the list of videos. Like I say, I want to sort of like do another little like mini series to bring some more manga videos to the channel, because you guys seem to enjoy these manga videos when I do like my hauls and my like little reviews and stuff. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to make sure that you kept up to date with new videos, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye everyone.